everybody. It's morning time. It's a little bit before noon. I think it's about 11 a.m. Wanted to give you guys a look at just kind of day-to-day stuff here and give you an update on some of the things that I've been working on in my brain. I'm gonna say that for the last 2 months, since I reinstalled the solar panels on the roof, I haven't been doing any other work on the truck. I've been living and going day to day. Things come up that I start to think about I might want to make a change with as far as the truck, but there hasn't been anything for, a couple of months now that I have to do, that I need to do. I'm living really comfortably day to day. My focus was to just settle in and work with everything that's already in the truck and really see if I need to make some changes. Now, some things have come up and I'll talk about them, but for the most part, it's been a really comfortable couple of months here. We have been going 10 or 11 days between grocery runs, that's really great. So we're sitting here for, a week and a half between having to run up to Parker and do some major grocery shopping. Now I do, in that week and a half, I typically take one trip up into Quartzsite to pick up maybe some more, some hamburger, some bread, ice cream treats, things like that. Onesies, twosies, but not major grocery shopping. Just really, it's just, to have something to do. Drive up into town and pick up a couple of things. Put gas in the generator. I'm no longer using this gas can back here, and I'm going to tell you why. It developed a leak. So obviously, this thing is really faded from being out in the sun for a year and a half, and TZYC patent pending, and I'm sorry if you're getting wind noise. It is windy today. This thing not totally UV resistant. So down the side here, it's got some stress cracks. I don't know if they're going to show up on the camera, but so what I noticed was one day this area right here had some dirt and such stuck to it, which was odd, and turned out it was because it was seeping gas and then dirt was clinging to it. Out here it was getting moist. I think early on, before I got used to it, it would be affected by the sun and the heat, and it would either suck in or try to expand out, and I learned that I had to just crack the vent cap all the time to allow it to not do that. So it was getting a couple of times I came back here early on and it had really sucked itself in, and I'm sure that put a huge amount of strain on this plastic, and it caused it to crack. So it's not dripping, but it will seep if I put gas in it. So I stopped using it, and I don't really need it. What it would do is it would extend our generator time from 1 week to 2 weeks or more, because this actually holds about 1.5 gallons. It's rated at 1.3 gallons. It actually holds 1.5 gallons. The generator holds 1 gallon. Now you might ask, why am I using the generator when I've got monster solar power? Well, this time of the year with the sun at such a steep angle and 14 hours of darkness every day, and then some days that are overcast and you're not even getting full sun. So the generator has filled that gap. What I've been doing, I settled into a pattern of running the generator in the morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. for 1 hour, and it starts the batteries on their charge cycle for the day, and by the time I unplug it, the batteries will be typically right at 90%, and by then the solar panels take over. And what that's allowing is to get a full charge on the battery. So they go into float noon ish, and then they're able to stay in float for the rest of the day till the sun starts getting steep again and they start dropping off, the power starts dropping off. But having the generator has, just for running it for that 1 hour a day, is allowing the batteries to go into the nighttime with a full charge. Even the best solar system, I recommend always having a generator, because even with the best solar system, there's going to be days, and we've had them here, where it's cloudy all day. We had one just a couple days ago. It was cloudy and rainy all day, and I ran off the batteries all day, and I never even hit 100%. So I needed the generator that evening to charge the batteries up, because towards the end of the day, I was, hovering at like 92%. The batteries were never able to get a full charge that day from the solar, not even close to full charge. So I would really recommend stowing a generator on board, because you never know when you're going to need it. So I mentioned the TV. Now, if you've been on the channel, you know that having the TV and video and all that, it's an important thing for me. And so I always want to have the ability to turn on my television, my Android box, and use that stuff. One of the things that I've done this year, over these last couple of months, on these long winter nights, is I turn off the TV and the inverter. I turn them off 8 p.m. and I turn on my tablet that I mounted over the bed here. Now, obviously, the tablet doesn't require the inverter, and I'm able to use Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube. I don't have access to my Android box, which is unfortunate. The problem I have with using this is they're not designed, as you guys may know, the apps aren't designed to use a remote. So I have to touch everything, and that kind of sucks when I'm laying in the bed. I don't want to reach my arm up, and that might seem like a real first world problem, right? I don't want to reach up and touch my Lenovo tablet to control stuff. I want to be able to do it with a remote. So, but that's the kind of stuff that, little things that kind of bug me like that. My idea is I want to have a 12 volt powered device, because my Android box can run off DC. And if I had a TV that was also 12 volt powered, I wouldn't have to run the inverter. I started thinking about that, and if I'm not running the inverter for the television, I wouldn't be turning the inverter on very often at all, because it would only be if I'm going to use the microwave or I'm going to use the air fryer, and I don't use them every day. So I could see that there would be days when I wouldn't turn the inverter on at all. And we know inverters use a lot of power. And if I had a 12 volt TV, so if any of you have looked at 12 volt RV televisions, they're available. The majority of them are smaller size screen, but in my research, I found up to a 40-inch DC powered RV television. Now, I don't want a 40-inch. It would just take up a little bit more room than I would want up there. My 32-inch fits really nicely in that area, so a 32-inch would be perfect. So there are 32-inch DC-powered TVs that are available. They're pricey, and the specs aren't great. So they're not smart TVs. They're 720p, not 1080. Definitely not 4K. And they're by these brands that I've never heard of. If any of you have one of these 12 volt TVs, please leave some comments below. Give me some real world feedback. I want to know if those things are any good, because I started looking at adding a DC powered, like a 12-inch monitor over here that has HDMI. It will allow me to plug in either my Roku or my Android box and use a remote. And so I bought one. I ordered one off Amazon. It was a 12-inch, had two speakers, HDMI, and so I hooked it all up. I plugged in my Roku stick. I fired it up. Everything works, except the one I got didn't have a remote to control the volume. And the only way to control the volume, there weren't even buttons for volume on it. You had to go into a menu and drill down to reach the volume setting. It was a terrible So I returned it, basically. It was $100. I already had a Roku stick to plug into it, so that didn't cost me anything. But I returned it, and then I started thinking, gosh, if I'm going to mess around and spend $100 to have a second screen, why don't I just spend the $300 and replace the 32-inch with a 32-inch DC TV, and then I can, you know, watch it at my leisure with my Android box plugged into it. So I'm on the fence now. Instead of, like, I was going to just order a different monitor that had remote, and the sound on the thing was horrible. You know, these aren't made, they're basically made to, like, watch CCTV footage, so audio is not important. Now, my Lenovo tablet here has the greatest tablet audio I've ever heard. It's got, you know, dual speakers, and it has a Bose control panel in there that lets you have, it's got an equalizer, it's got different, like, movie sound, it's got stereo, surround sound. It sounds great. For a tablet, it sounds great. I think it might sound better than my TV, to be honest with you. Instead of just trying to find the perfect small monitor to replace this with, DC-powered monitor with good speakers, remote control, because I think it's a crapshoot on finding one. If any of you know of one that's around $100 mark, I would do that if I knew it was going to fit the bill. It's got to have good audio. It's got to have remote control. It's got to have HDMI input, mini or full HDMI. I don't care. I've got adapters for it. If any of you have a small monitor that fits that bill, let me know. But I think I'm more interested in finding out about replacing my 32-inch TV with a 32-inch DC-powered TV, because then I can plug my Android box in and sit back and live large watching from the big screen while I'm in bed. That would really make my day. And then on these rainy days, instead of having to turn the inverter on to watch TV and sit in my zero gravity chair and watch movies, I would be able to do that without turning on the inverter. So something else that I just actually changed in my life out here. So you've all watched videos and you've seen me in a lot of different states of beard growth, right? Probably I have growth more often than I'm clean shaven. I shave, and I always have, in the traditional, you know, hot water, lather, shaving cream, and a razor. And so doing that here, you know, to get warm water, I gotta go out and turn on the water heater and all that. And it became kind of I got a lot of invested time and energy into it to get clean shaven. Definitely not something I'm gonna do every day, not even every other day. And as it turned out, I started not doing it in between showering. So I take a shower, shave, and then the next time I would shave would be the next time I would take a shower. So in between there, I was, you know, looking pretty scruffy a lot of times. So I decided to jump into the electric razor market here. Now, I've never used one of these in my life. I've always had, I'm going to call it, like, sensitive facial skin, and so I always thought that these would not play well with my face and kind of tear me up. I went on Amazon to look at them, and there's a million of them, everything from your cheapest Chinese terrible knockoff one to ones that are several $100s. So what I settled on is it's a Philips Norelco. This was $35. I got it a few days ago, charged it up, and then 2 days ago, I used it, and I shaved. And I had several days of growth when I did it, which it recommends not doing that, because it works better when you got shorter stubble that you're shaving. And it worked great. It didn't mess up my face at all. Took me a few minutes. You know, my first time. I got to get better at it. You know, the rotary motion and all that. So this is a big change for me, and I think this is going to mean that in my videos from now on, I should be fairly clean shaven, no more than every other day of growth. I might even start using it every day, get really good at it, so it only takes me a minute or so to do it. I can do it while I'm driving, for Christ's sake. I think little things like this, incremental improvements in life, is making me more and more comfortable and sturdy out here. Take a look at what it looks like in here on a day-to-day basis. So before I picked up the camera here, I didn't do any cleaning. This is how things look. I think the worst offending thing you'll see here is this Tupperware that I had some ground beef. Actually, it was like some Mexican food that Tara down the way here had cooked and given to me the other day. It was so good. I told her it was the best thing I'd eaten in months, and it really was. But anyways, I had some leftovers in the fridge that I cooked up, and now I gotta throw that in some hot water and get it washed because it's got some, you know, stuff in it that needs to get cleaned out with hot water. So this is what the truck looks like on a day-to-day basis for me, and I hope you'll agree that, you know, it's comfortable in here. I'm not having any issues with the truck and the layout and the way things are for me that I've built. I use the stove pretty much every day. I use the oven, like those rolls over there. I'll cut them up and toast them up in the oven and butter them. I'm a big fan of real butter, the whipped butter, so I use salted whipped butter, hardcore, right? So again, very comfortable living. I don't use the microwave very much at all, and I'm starting to wonder if that's even really necessary. I added it so that I had another tool in my arsenal for eating, but as it's turned out, I don't really use it that much. It uses so much power. I'm wondering if that's going to stay. I mean, it's not hurting anything being there, but it's just not really getting used that much. So really probably the worst part of the truck as far as condition is the cab. It needs a real good cleaning. It's just kind of ignored. You know, I don't live up there day to day. It's used for storage. You know, I store my ladder up there. I really recommend, if you've got one of these extendable ladders, try to not store it outside in the weather. It hampers their performance. I started noticing, because I was keeping it outside all the time, and I noticed that when you went to close it and you click the little release levers, it wasn't releasing and going down. You had to kind of start it on its way. So I started storing it indoors, and now after storing it indoors for several months, it doesn't do that anymore. It's back to performing like it did when it's brand new. So I really recommend keeping those out of the weather if at all possible, even in one of your cabinets outside. So like I said, this is just kind of, you know, it's lived in up here. It needs a good vacuuming and cleaning and scrubbing. I store my drinks down there. Coronas, yep, and my Gatorades, which I'm out of right now as far as extras. It just needs a good clean, and it's dusty from just sitting, basically. You know, there's some Lefty hair on the carpet that needs to get vacuumed up. So one of these days I'll hit it and get it all clean top to bottom. There's my King Slim dash cam there that I made that video about a while back. I'm going to show some clips of it here. So this is what it looks like day to day in here. Got a lot of food stuff up there. This is where I keep all my dishes, and some Gatorades are up there. My pots and pans are down in this cabinet here. My air fryer, my coffee maker are all down in there. This is my closet for towels. All my towels and extra bedding is up here in this cabinet. And then this is my library of books here. And then actually there's the dash cam that we're giving away. So if you watched my last video, the tour of the red F450, make sure you watch that video to see how you can enter in to win that Ocaso dash cam right there. And I've also stored up in here there's the dash cam. I've also stored up in here my BB guns. I have a couple of BB guns. It's a CO2 powered. I really like the look of this thing. It feels like it's metal construction. It really feels like a real gun. I really like it. CO2 powered. Then I have this guy right here. This is a Crossman, also CO2 powered. It holds 6 BBs or pellets in that rotary clip. Also a very heavy gun. It's got a lot of rails for mounting stuff. I'm not a gun guy. These are just toys to me, and I don't get them out that often, but I'll take them out sometimes and shoot a bunch of trees and things like that. So from a security standpoint, I've always thought that having these is better than not having them, even though they're not real guns. Lefty is really my security system. I don't think people don't mess with me because I do have a doggy that in some context could be considered intimidating. Not right now. Well, thanks for watching this little talking update. Again, if you know anything about or have experience with those 12-volt TVs, let me know. I really want to know about them. There's a couple of brands that I've seen that makes the DC powered in the larger size. I can't think of the brand names right now, but I see that there seems to be two main players. And the 32-inch, one of them was like $360 and the other brand was $299. So if you have experience with either of those two, let me know. I'm really interested in maybe a next step moving forward, getting one of those installed in there to cut down on the inverter usage. That's simply what I want to do, is stop having to run the inverter so much. My inverter's awesome at high performance, uses a lot of power, definitely does. So I hope everyone's doing well. I don't really know the state of the world right now. I know that we have a new president. Didn't change anything in my life. Don't know if it's going to anytime soon. I don't like to talk politics on the channel. It's not something that's big in my life, so I'm not going to make it big on my YouTube channel. I hope that makes sense. Hi, buddy. What you doing? You got a bunch of dirt on you from digging this morning. I think I got a little video clip you can see of what Lefty did this morning on our walk. That is my boy. Everybody take care, be good, have a great weekend. Make sure you get entered in that camera giveaway. What? That's a pretty boy.